sorry. I've been really trying to work on the things I'm not supposed to do. Hi, my friend. How are you?
Hello.
It's nice to see you. You look beautiful.
Thank you. So do you. Staying warm?
Yes. No. No, not at all. We had a mishap with our furnace at the shop today, and thank God it's working now. It was cold. It was 46 degrees in here this morning, and it took it most of the day.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
goodness.
Tis the season. It seems like that's when you're going to have mishaps. Yes. Yes. But we're warm now. We're ready to talk.
All right.
I was going to introduce you a little bit. Have talked about you a few times. I'm sure you've seen.
Yeah.
Um, Singing your praises to everybody because I've been very inspired by you. You're a busy woman and you're so relaxed.
I try.
Um, so if you want to give us a short introduction for everyone to see, that would be great.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Sarah Matthews. I am the Circuit Probate Family Court Administrator, friend of the court director, attorney referee, and one of the based system administrators for the Cass County courts. So it's a mouthful, but it is because I am very, very blessed to live in a small community. And when you're in a small community, you often wear multiple hats, as you ladies do, running your podcast and your
Yeah.
sourdough business and
Yeah.
all of the multiple things you have going on. So I have those multiple hats that I wear for my day job in the courts, which I absolutely love. I have fantastic staff. I love using my law degree to serve my community. I am a lifelong resident of Dowagiac, and it was my goal to come back here and use my law degree to serve my community and give back to those who put so much into my education and my growing up. That's my day job. At night, though, I really do enjoy writing. So I have recently completed my first holiday rom-com script called Candy Cane Kisses. And I went last year in May to Hollywood with the Story Summit group to pitch it to agents and producers. It's now being pitched by a producer to see if we can get it on a network or a streamer. And so that's my evening. I love to write, working on scripts, books, different things like that. Day job is in the courts.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait till we can all see your movie. Really, I can't wait. I'm so excited that you live in our small town. Um, so we like to let all of our viewers know that we write out our questions to keep us on track. We don't always adhere tightly to the questions, but I have a lot to say. I wonder about a lot of things. So I like to keep myself on track with our guests. So I make sure that I get all the details. Um, so if we would like to start, we'll talk about your book, your some other things that you're doing. Your night job is much more exciting probably for today than your day job, but one of these days I'd like to talk about your day job too. So before you were a lawyer or a writer, were you someone that loved writing, or did this surprise you later in your life?
I have always loved storytelling and writing. So when I was younger, I actually collected Barbie dolls. And I think if you go back through the Dowagiac Daily News, there is an article by John Eby when I was a sophomore or a junior, where he starts off by telling almost the entire town that I had over 200 Barbie dolls. I so I collected them. I loved them. And that leads to natural storytelling when you are a young child playing with Barbie dolls for hours, planning out their wedding, who lives where. It was a passion. I loved it. and that naturally flowed into writing. So I wrote a play for my church, Northway Mennonite Church. I did a Christmas play for them. I think that was in 2007. And then I did two plays for a scholarship foundation in 2008 and 2009. I did a play for the Dowagiac Tea or the Dogwood Tea, and so that kind of got me on my path to exploring holiday rom-coms and movie scripts and doing a book. But I think it's just a natural, I've loved storytelling. I've loved writing. That ends up in my legal writing. There's usually, to be a good lawyer, I think you've got to be a good storyteller, because you've got to be able to take the facts and the law and tell it in an engaging way that the trier of fact is going to want to pay attention to, whether that's a jury or a judge. And so I think they just blend nicely together, to the fact that I've always loved stories and I love writing, and blending those two things together.
I never even considered that. That's very interesting to keep, that you would have a desire to keep a judge paying attention and a jury. I like that. I like that a lot. That does seem like a good service for a client. I like it.
Well, and you're also introduced to many different stories in the meantime.
Right.
I do, yes.
You could probably write a book about that if you kept everyone's names out of it.
Yeah.
So that leads us to, you're around so many strong personalities in life. Have any of them quietly, secretively found their way into your stories?
Oh, absolutely. I think so. There is the quote by Oscar Wilde where he says, "Life imitates art far more than art imitates life." But for me, really, life inspires art. Pretty much everything I see, I walk around, I'm like, that's a story, that's a script, that's a book. I could see that uh, in this type of story format or in a play. Very much the things I see every day inspires me. It influences what I write. Candy Cane Kisses, I actually was very inspired by Kim Gravel. She is on QVC. She has her own makeup line, clothing line, but she came to Southwestern Michigan College in 2016 and spoke at one of our mentoring dinners. And I have never forgotten her kindness that she showed in coming to our small community to speak with our girls and to spend that evening mentoring them, connecting with them, letting them know that they are important. It spoke to me. I'm so grateful that she did that. And when I started exploring writing a holiday rom com, I couldn't get out of my head that she should be in a holiday rom com. So I actually have a role for her in my script. So she found herself loudly in my script. There are other people are quietly in there. I joke with my husband that he should always be on his best behavior because he influences my romantic leads heavily. So yeah, and then like Caruso's, downtown Dowagiac, Caruso's to me is the perfect Hallmark movie setting. So it inspires a lot of my writing. Rosie Tomorrow's to me is the perfect little story spot for some things. So places, people, they inspire my art because they inspire me. So they do find themselves in my stories, only in the good ways.
That's good. Yeah, our city is it's very quaint, very cute. I could see, I mean, I guess I don't think of that every day, but now that you're bringing that up, just thinking about our downtown and the shop owners, we all know each other in some way or not, whether we're friends or not, or, it seems like a really storytelling type of community.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
much.
Well, I'll tell everyone that we went to lunch the other day, and you did really get me thinking about how many of the shop owners that I know, and just in our conversation, that you do frequent all of these places. You not only live local, but you're, you get out in the community and you are in the shops and you're in the restaurants and you're going to the theater. And I love that. I think that we need, as a country, we need to come back and start small again, you know?
Yeah,
Get
we
our
have
foot,
some.
yeah.
Yeah, we have very, very amazing small business owners in
Mhm.
Dowagiac. And I think sometimes we take that for granted,
Yeah.
but they are kind, they are helpful, they're responsive. I know, so the Marshall shop, my mother in law is in assisted living now, and sometimes she can't come in for her clothes to try them on. Kathy's happy to let us take some and have her try them on, bring them back, right?
Aw.
And so you just have that, or you go into Rosie Tomorrow's and you mention that you're struggling with something, and most likely Claudia's going to pray with you, right?
Yes.
And you go into Caruso's and Brandy, she's a fabulous waitress there. She always greets me by name. She knows my order, what chocolate that I'm going to leave with. It's just, the shop owners, they know you, the workers there, they know you, they care, they're genuine. It's an amazing small town to live in, which I love getting to just highlight bits and pieces of that. I think
Mhm.
for me, putting that in the stories that I tell is a way of just highlighting what I love. I love our small town. I love the people here. I go to the Marshall shop and I always joke that I usually end up buying the clothes that are on the mannequin. So I usually end up stripping the mannequin and leaving the mannequin naked
Me
to leave.
too.
Right, I do, and it's so funny. They had the live mannequins, the one Winterfest, and I joked. I told Kathy, I said, "I'm not coming because I'm not stripping your mannequins when you've got live mannequins." But to me, it's just I love shopping there. I love the connection, the people. So I have in my book, I have a character that strips the mannequins downtown, just because I'm just like, you know what? I want to honor that little fun story, that
Yes.
memory. It's a fun little laugh for the people who know what it is when they read it. Of oh, that's from the Marshall shop, right? We have a great small town, great businesses. I feel fortunate to live here and to get to shop at the places that we have downtown.
Yeah, I do too. I could frequent them more. Um, we we try to do all the restaurants and as much as we can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love our city too. I didn't grow up here, but I grew up in Fort Wayne, humongous city, way different than Dowagiac. But I really loved raising our kids here. It was it was the perfect size town to raise our kids. I hope I hope Dowagiac's proud of us of pumping them up like we are. So, what made you choose romantic comedy as your genre of choice? Did it feel like a fun escape or more like something you'd been carrying around for a while?
I love Hallmark holiday rom-coms. I could watch them nonstop. And so for me, so Joni Kane is the writer who created the first movie that really launched the Hallmark holiday rom-com. She wrote The Christmas Card, phenomenal movie if you haven't seen it. I've been fortunate to take some classes with Joni. And when you study with Joni, she will tell you that these movies are all about romance, comfort, Christmas, and joy. And that speaks to me, right? So, something, if I could write a story and share something that's inspired by my town and people I interact with, I would want to share that comfort and joy, the same that I feel walking downtown and going into a shop and interacting with people that
Mhm.
inspire my stories. And so, I think really picking that holiday rom com for my first script is based on how much I really like watching those and how much our small town really, to me, lives and breathes that. I think Dowagiac is very much a town of comfort and joy and a great community. I walk through it every day and it's like walking through a Hallmark movie to me. That's what I see. So I think that really inspired that first script to be a holiday rom com. I do have other things I'm working on that are comedy and mystery and a little more dramatic, but I think the holiday rom com is always going to hold a special place in my heart because it does remind me of my hometown.
So I did not put this on the questions, But um, so you wrote a book also.
I just finished a women's fiction manuscript that is a mystery romance, and it is set in southwestern Michigan, and it is inspired by some of the stories that my mother-in-law Felda has told me about her time in the art world. So it features art in southwest Michigan and just some different stories that she's told me. She's actually a character in the book, so she thinks that's fantastic. I go read her the chapters, and she'll always ask me, what am I doing next? What do I know next? And so I did. I just finished that, and that's a whole different process than writing a script. So I'm querying agents for my book at this point and querying producers for my scripts, and they have different rules, different processes for all of that. But hopefully I'll get an agent for my book and get a deal for my script and get things moving forward.
I hope you do too. I'm excited for you.
Well, I can't wait to see the movie either because, just living here and then knowing the background of it, it makes it so much more special.
Yeah, it does. We're all gonna have little starlet roles, or at least we'll think that we do. Um, so do you think that your lawyer instincts show up in your plots?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So Candy Cane Kisses deals with a beauty podcaster who disses some lipstick on her podcast and is sued by a small town lawyer on behalf of the lipstick, and she has to come and defend herself in court. So there's a courtroom scene, and there's the lawyer as her love interest. So that absolutely influenced Candy Cane Kisses. I have the characters in my book deal with some legal issues. So that does influence that. I think because I learn a lot in the legal field that I think storytelling is a great way to bring some things forward that people aren't aware of. So in Candy Cane Kisses, I talk about CASA, so the court appointed special advocates, and their Christmas party for foster care children to give them gifts and grant wishes and things for them. We do that in Cass County. We have CASA. We have a wonderful CASA program, and there is a Christmas party for foster care children where gifts, CASA supports that. They also support camps and different things that the children need that when they're in foster care are harder to get. Those are things that not everybody knows about CASA. Not everybody knows about the importance of a community coming together and supporting the needs of foster care children. And so that's in my writing too. So bringing that out in that warm way of comfort and joy, but also this thing that maybe somebody at the end of the movie will say, I'm going to Google what's a CASA. I think I want to be a CASA. I think I want to help. I see the importance of that. In my book, I deal with some legal terms that deal with really, truly what's a father. Because in the courtroom, we have putative father, we have legal father, we have biological father. We have a lot of terms for a dad, all right? But at the end of the day, it is the child's heart that defines dad, right? And sometimes we lose that in the courtroom. And so I explore that in my books. So a lot of the times I have different little things I weave in that are inspired from things in the courtroom. I also try to make sure it's accurate because I do find I feel it's a bit of a disservice if you write about a legal aspect in a book and it's not correct because you can lead people to believe that's how something's truly going to happen in the legal field. And I don't want to mislead people that way. But I think it's a great opportunity in stories to begin the conversation about things that happen in the courts that people may not be aware of.
So your movie's not going to be like TV courtroom drama. It's going to be a little more real.
Just a
That
little.
is so. That's a good way to think about it. It sounds like a responsibility that you're taking seriously rather than just making something enjoyable or entertainment.
Yeah. Well, making sure sometimes you have to speed things up in a script. I love the television show Suits, but they have to solve everything in that 45-minute to an hour slot, right? In real life, a case is not solved in 45
Right. Yeah.
minutes, right? So I think the viewers or readers understand that you may have to speed things up, cut some things out just to make the pacing work for the story, but still be as accurate as possible so that if your story does create conversations about a legal topic, that it puts people in the right direction.
Those are perspectives I've never even thought about in movies.
I know. I haven't either. I love a movie for the story of it, and maybe I just take it for granted that it's accurate. Now I'll be thinking about if something is accurate or not. Um, so when someone finishes your book or watches your movie, what do you hope they feel about love or relationships?
Oh, wow. It's a tough one for each story, I think, has a different goal or something that I'd want them to take away from it. From Candy Cane Kisses, just I think that feeling of the importance of community as well as the power of one. Because in Candy Cane Kisses, there is a casa that makes a significant difference, but she's also helped by the community that sees the importance of stepping up and granting wishes for foster care children. And so that knowing that community can make a difference just as much as one person, feeling that importance. So just having that feeling and knowing, you know what, if I have a good idea and I can get the community behind me, I can make a difference. And that there are communities out there that do that. And I think Dowagiac's a great example, and Cass County is a great example of communities that do that, where people have a great idea, they come together, and the community supports it to make a difference for their children. So just taking that away and all of that, the romance, comfort, Christmas, and joy at the end, to just walk away with that happy feeling, the happy
Uh-huh.
ending. In my book explores really the definition of family, that it's not always just DNA. And so really expanding that definition, and family is who your heart defines as family. And so there's part of that in there. My book also explores domestic violence and the conceptions that we have. Oftentimes we ask the wrong question of, why doesn't the victim just leave? Because
Mhm.
I would leave if that happened to me, instead of really asking the question of, why does the abuser abuse, right? Or how can we help to make it safe for the survivor to actually leave, and examining how we ask those questions and changing the conversation to the right direction and the right questions where we can be helpful.
Yeah, that's a very enlightening. I've never even considered those. That is something that a community could come together with to maybe change the tide of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that could be something that I think that you could work on that, Sarah.
That's a good one. And that's one, if you're looking for people for your podcast, Deb Hackworth from DASIS is a wonderful person to talk to about those misconceptions that we have. And we always ask that question, why doesn't the victim just leave? Because I would leave. All right. And there's
Yeah.
so much that goes into it. Uh, we're getting into a heavy topic, but my book is a little bit heavier than the holiday rom-com one.
Well, maybe you can go a little deeper and wider with a book.
Yes.
You get a little more time to explore a topic than you do with the movie.
Yeah.
And a rom-com is supposed to be completely upbeat.
Yes, and as
Yeah.
Candy Cane Kisses is very upbeat, very happy, very much that Christmas and joy.
Yeah. Um, so we like to ask all of our guests, we call it a golden nugget. If you had one piece of advice that you could offer the world, to everyone listening and to everybody that will listen, what piece of advice would that be?
Related to writing.
It
um, yeah.
doesn't have to be related to writing, just your personality, your character. If there's something that, if people did this thing, took this piece of advice, what would it be?
never be afraid to ask, because you're not going to know the answer if you don't. I think so often we close the door to our own dreams by thinking that the answer someone's going to give us is no, right? And so with my script, I signed up for a class through Story Summit. And if there are anyone listening and they're interested in learning about writing holiday rom-coms or feature length scripts or books, Story Summit has amazing online classes. They have in-person conferences and retreats. They're the group that I went to Hollywood with. It's storysummit.us. I cannot speak highly enough of them and all the things that I've learned through them and their mentors, but I had to click the class and sign up. And then when they had mentorship opportunities, I had to believe enough to apply and ask to be accepted. I got a few no's. I didn't get in a mentoring group right away, but I did end up, I think about 18 months ago, I applied for the mentorship with Julie Cantrell. She's a best-selling author. She wrote Perennials. It's a phenomenal book. I applied to be in her small group through Story Summit, and she said yes. And I got in, and I've finished my book under her mentorship and her guidance. I was working on my script, Candy Cane Kisses. I was able to go to Hollywood as one of the retreats through Story Summit, meet with producers. I got to go to Paramount and see some of the sets for Matlock. It was an amazing experience. Never would have had it if I didn't take the leap and ask and apply. And when I got back, I had some feedback on my script, and I reached out to Joni Kane. She's the ultimate queen of Christmas. And I emailed her and just asked if she would help me because I had some questions and some feedback. And I have been very blessed that she saw the story in my script and agreed to help me. And I have had a wonderful mentorship relationship with her since. But I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't dare to dream and dare to ask. Right. And so I think that's the thing. Don't close the door on your dreams by thinking the answer is going to be no. Ask, and you might be surprised someone says yes and that they're going to help you.
That is a great piece of advice. Robin and I have, we started off being sign makers. We, as you said, we wear a lot of hats now since we got this building. And when you live in a small community, you try to fill needs for people. And so that's what we try to do. But we bought this building truly off of the quote, once you make a decision, the universe conspires to make it happen. And it reminds me of that. Um, because it's true. If you never ask, if you never put yourself out there, if you never dare to dream, you just sit and you just stay stagnant. You just do the very same thing that you've always done. So it takes courage to ask questions. It takes courage to put yourself out there.
It
Oh,
does. The power of asking, picking up the phone. I'll never forget, I asked my mother-in-law, Thelda, so she worked on the sculptures that you see downtown, working with the artist and with K&M to get sculptures like Dance of Creation and Hybrid by Richard Hunt placed in downtown. That was her passion when she was the sculpture division manager at K&M. And I asked her, I said, how did you meet Richard Hunt? He's a very famous artist. And she said, I picked up the phone and called him and said, I'd like to work with him. And he said, okay. All right.
that's
And
amazing.
yeah, and it was the same with another artist that she's worked with when she was telling stories. And I said, how did you meet that artist? And she said, I picked up the phone and called and introduced myself and said I wanted to work with them. Right. And that spoke volumes to me of she worked with some very famous, very amazing people, all because she called and said, I'd like to work with you. Right? She wasn't scared to ask. I'm sure she got some no's, like I've gotten some no's, and those are hard to take, but eventually you get a yes. And you connect with someone who sees things the way you do in terms of a story or a project, and they want to come alongside of you and they want to help you. And so it just ask. And it's how Kim Gravel ended up at the mentoring dinner. I flew to an event in Atlanta and got in line to meet her and asked, right? And if I hadn't have had the courage to say, I'm going to try, it never would have happened. And so I just think that's the best advice to give people. Don't close the door on your own dream by being scared to ask.
You booked a flight purposely to fly out and meet her to ask her to come here?
I did. So
That's
it was
awesome.
she was doing a women's event in Atlanta, and she had a thing on there that if you wore a pageant sash, if you were a former queen, you could get in a line at the end and she would meet you. So I dug out, I am the former 2001 Miss Michigan Honey Queen, and I still had my sash in the basement, and I dug it out and I was like, I don't care if it's embarrassing to put it on because it's years later. I flew down with my stepdaughter Samantha and went to the conference, put the sash on. I think I was the only person who had read the instructions and remembered to bring a sash. Got in line to meet her. I was so excited to meet her. I love her show. I love her stuff. She's so inspiring. And just asked her. I told her about Southwestern Michigan College and about our students, that I absolutely could never pay her what she's worth, but our students were worth it if she would come and speak to them. And she came, she spoke to them. It was a powerful evening. That was 2016. I still have girls from that dinner 10 years later tell me things that they took away, things that they remembered, things that she inspired them to do. And so I'm really glad, I took the risk, got on the plane and asked.
Yeah. And I mean, that was great for those girls to experience that too.
Mhm.
And it inspiring all the way around.
It was a great night. It was a wonderful night to see. We have a lot of women in our community participated in the mentoring dinners to connect with girls at the college, to just be resources for them. That's what I love about our small town. It's we have so many people willing to help, to mentor, to connect, and to ask, and they're typically there to say, "How can I help?" and "What can I do?"
Well, we talked about at lunch, there has been a lot of people in this city who have been courageous enough to step out and say, this is something that I'm going to try to do. And they've succeeded. We have had, many years ago when my father in law was in school here, he went to school with Chris Taylor, who was an Olympic, he was in a wrestling,
Yeah, I think he
I'm
was a
pretty sure.
bronze
Yeah.
medalist. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we've had cheerleaders from two cheerleaders are on professional football teams. What team is your?
So Samantha
Yeah.
was on the Panthers cheerleading squad for 2 years, and then she was on the Indianapolis Colts for 4.
Okay, she's not cheering. She's not cheering anymore.
No, no, she
Oh.
is not.
Um, and then we have somebody that just got signed on to a professional football team. So I don't know, and I'm sure there's many more people. We have a movie script writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dowagiac is we're packed with the punch.
We have people who have a lot of talents. So I think you've got Lenny at Bakeman's Barber, wrote a book. So he's a published author. My mother-in-law published a children's book at age 91. And so you can get that book at Rosie Tomorrow's. We've got Tasha, I don't know her married name, but in school it was Tasha Zaman. She was just here. She published a book and gets
Really?
a bestseller. And so we have authors, we have artists. Sarah Slaughter is from Dowagiac, and she has art that is just absolutely amazing that she's got on her Instagram page, that she does shows and things around. So we have so many talented people in our community with so many things that they contribute to. Like I said, it's hard not to be inspired by the community to create more stories or the Hallmark holiday rom-com types,
Yeah.
because that seems what our town is. It's full of that joy and that inspiration.
So we had a little blip. You said Bakeman Bar. Did Pat write a book?
No,
Is that what you
Lenny.
said?
Lenny, I think it's Lenny that works there. Maybe I've got his name wrong. I think he wrote a book during the pandemic.
Oh,
Nice.
I'm gonna have to message Pat and ask him.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I
think
also
we did.
Yeah, I feel like also like having all of these things that they've done in our small little town is very inspirational to for other, like especially high school age kids and then Southwest Michigan college kids. Like I do feel like it's very inspiring for them to see that a lot of talent has come from our town. And
Yeah,
so with just our do we have 5,000 people here? That's
something like
pretty
that. Yeah.
awesome.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess I didn't say that. It always reminds me like our town is very small and to have
Yeah.
so many like six top tier successful people, I guess. I don't know. I probably could say that a little bit better, but the percentage of people that have become very successful is pretty big for such a small town. Maybe it is because it's such a nice town, you know? Maybe we help encourage each other.
I think we have that, and not only just the big successes too, but we have, maybe it's not on that big scale, but our business owners, our teachers, people who have made a living and a commitment here and
Yeah.
accomplished things. Maybe it's not a book, but we have some phenomenal teachers who have impacted students' lives and been wonderful mentors. All
Oh,
right.
yes.
And you have business owners who have made their business flourish in a small town, which is no small feat. That's really hard.
Yeah.
So, people who are committed and driven and sharing their skills and their passion with others in the community, I think we have an abundance of that, that we're very, very blessed with community members who share their talents, who share their time, who give back and want to connect with their community.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. It has been, I would love it if you would come back on. I feel like as we've been sitting here talking, I could think of at least 5 different podcasts we could do with just you.
Yeah, there is a lot. I would be happy to come back when if I get a deal for my book or get the script figured out, or if there are people who want to hear about just that process. Script writing is drastically different than a book, just different rules and formatting, different things. I am very, very eternally grateful for Story Summit and all they have taught me for script writing. I know I think I shared with you at lunch that to do your script, the standard is to use Final Draft. But before Story Summit, if someone said, send me your script in Final Draft,
Yes.
I would have sent the final draft in a Word document of this is my final draft, not knowing Final Draft is a program that you write scripts in, right? So just having someone again to come alongside and mentor and to teach and to learn those things, it's a whole different world. I've been very blessed and I'm happy to share. Story Summit is one avenue. If for people in our area, there's also the Midwest Writers Workshop. They have an annual workshop in Muncie, Indiana. They have a Wednesday writing online. They have some virtual agent fest. So if you're interested in books and you can't, maybe you want to go to the in-person conference, Muncie's a 3-hour drive. It's a fantastic conference that they have. Our local library actually participates in a conference for authors as well. So it's called the Southwest Michigan Writers Conference. It's Saturday, April 25th at the Lincoln Township Public Library. They have not released registration yet, but if you're an aspiring author and you're like, I just don't know where to start, I don't know what a query letter is, I don't know script, book, what my interest is, self-publishing. I believe last time it was free, except for if you wanted to purchase a lunch, and they have their Facebook pages where you can register. So if you watch the Southwest Michigan Writers Conference Facebook page, the Dowagiac Library library participates with that. The librarians would probably more than gladly, if you went in and told them, hey, I need info, watch for you. That's how I found out about it. Talk about a small town. Our librarian knew I was writing a book, and she sent me the flyer and said, hey, you need to sign up and go. And so there's that for local individuals. If you're like, I just want to dip my toe just a little bit and find out if I'm interested, that's in April. The Writers Workshop is in July in Muncie. And then Story Summit has online classes regularly. You can join with their membership and watch recordings if you can't participate. But I said, ask, sign up, talk to people who are in that. I am more than happy to connect with people if they have questions and just share my journey with them.
You know, our oldest granddaughter and our two oldest granddaughters, whenever the kids come over to our house, they love to write small little stories. I should plant a bug in their ear and see if I think they write things often, short little skits, you know. I
Yeah,
should see
so
if they would be interested in.
yeah, and you're never too young. So when I went to the writers conference in Muncie, a mom brought her 14-year-old teenage daughter with her because she was working on a book. And I thought, how wonderful to not say, hey, you have to be an adult to come to this. If you are interested in writing, I'm going to take you and expose you to it and let you see it and connect. There are a lot of different writing programs for kids as well. And I can't remember the author. I met her at the last Southwest Michigan Writers Conference. She actually did an online program for younger kids to write for a few weeks, and then their story was published together in a book so they could say they were published. So there's lots of opportunities out there. It's just kind of getting with the right group to say, hey, did you know about this? Did you
Right.
know about this? And I think it's phenomenal that our local libraries put together this one-day conference so that if you're interested and you're not sure, you can connect and learn and start figuring out where do I need to turn next for the resources. Zoom is phenomenal in terms of being able to connect with people all over the country to learn
Yeah.
and ask questions. I've chatted with agents from California and different places on Zoom that asking and finding out. But age isn't a limit. If they're interested in being an author or writing, I am sure they would be able to go to some of these conferences and learn a lot of things.
Did your mother-in-law, is that how she was, is that how, the process that she went through to write her children's book?
So her children's book she wrote over 40 years ago. It's called The Squoze, and she wrote it based on her son Scott was dating someone at the time who thought it had the wrong verb tense for squeeze. She thought the past tense was squoze, and my mother-in-law thought it was funny, and she's like, that'd make a good book. So she actually typed the story and she drew the artwork herself, and then she put it in a drawer. And she was sitting around the pool one day during the pandemic and told me she was bored. And she had somebody, I think my stepson Michael had said, what about your book? And she mentioned it to me. She's bored and she had this book. I said, what do you mean you have a book? So she pulled it out and showed it to me. And I had heard of Covenant Publishing from someone else local that had published a children's book. Their wife had. So I said, you have nothing to do during the pandemic, you're going to publish your book. So we reached out to Covenant Publishing and I did the technical online stuff for her in between, back and forth with them to get her book published. And she self-published through Covenant over the pandemic so that her dream after 40 years of having this book could go from being in the drawer to being on the bookshelves.
I love that. That is really sweet. I'm really happy for her. Is it in the Dowagiac Library?
So the library, I do believe, has a copy, and then Rosie Tomorrow's typically sells copies, and sometimes I try to sneak her in there to sign books so that you can get a signed copy. I think you can get it on Amazon as well if you can't make it downtown.
Great. I'm gonna look for it. Some of my grandkids would probably like it.
It's a fun little story.
Well, it has been lovely to chat with you.
Yeah, thank
And
you for having me on. I really appreciate it. I love chatting about stories and love chatting about my hometown.
yes, and I I am consciously trying to make efforts to be in the community more with everything that I do. So you help with that. And we will share this, and then you will be able to share it to your page as well.
So I will do that.
All right. Bye, Sarah.
See ya.